Hello students. Now it is time to talk about past perfect continuous tense. We already know that there are four past tenses: past simple, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. Having talked about the earlier three past tense forms, today let us discuss about past perfect continuous tense. Look at the screen. From this you can come to know almost what we must understand by past perfect continuous tense. See, it is something like a bus stand. Someone is waiting there. Okay. Imagine now it is 11 a.m. And now when we say at 11 a.m. when we say Hanu had been waiting for 3 hours when Ram arrived. Hanu had been waiting for 3 hours when Ram arrived. So Ram arrived almost at 10 a.m. Now it is 11 a.m. So 10 a.m. when we say 10 a.m. it is a past time. Something happened almost 1 hour before. Now at that time when Ram arrived, Hanu was there. Hanu had been there for almost 3 hours. When we say when Ram arrived, Hanu was there or Hanu waited there, it means for at that time only for a couple of minutes Hanu stood there waiting for Ram. Now it has been almost 3 hours, and that way we say Hanu had been waiting for 3 hours when Ram arrived. So almost 7 a.m. Hanu reached that place. And from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Hanu waited for Ram. So perfect tense, perfect continuous tense is used to express a kind of action that is done for a stretched period from a particular moment to another particular moment. Unlike the simple tenses, especially the simple past tense, we don't speak about some action that happened just that moment, especially the set moment. It is not so. This action, whatever action we do or we express in past perfect continuous tense, it is an action that was stretched for some period of time. Now let us see. A past perfect progressive tense, and that is what we say past perfect continuous tense, is often referred to. Now, how or when or where, in which all occasion we speak about its past perfect continuous tense. Often referred to as the past perfect continuous verb tense is formed by adding the past passive form of to have or plus the infinitive or plus, as we say, ing verb form, something like that. The past perfect progressive or continuous tense is used in situations to describe causation for another activity, a time-based description of an activity that happened in the past. That is why I said a stretched period of time. My class had been counting on going to the zoo this Wednesday. We were discussing about for a long period. But the trip had to be postponed due to bad weather. We had been discussing about it earlier, or maybe for 1 hour, maybe for 2 hours, a stretched period of time. I had been reading all about dinosaurs when my mom called me down to dinner. So from one particular moment to another particular moment, I had been reading. And it was at that time my mom called me for dinner, supper, something. And that called me, that action happened only for a couple of seconds. Again, I had been watching TV when the light went off. So when the light went off, any time in the past, not now, that is what we need to understand. That is not now, earlier, when the light went off, from a particular time until the light went off, I had been reading. And that is how we say past perfect progressive tense or past perfect continuous tense. So we speak about some action that happened, completed before a time, before now, any time before the present time. And by the time we speak about it, that action had been continuing for a quite period of time, not on a single second, not for a moment. It had been happening for a period of time, for a stretched period of time. Now, how could we say? We must use had been plus ing verb form. Had plus been plus ing verb form. And that is how could we say a past perfect progressive tense or a past perfect continuous tense. She had been talking for an hour. She is not talking now. It's not that she was talking only for a particular moment. For almost for 1 hour, she continued talking. And there we say that she had been talking for an hour. Then I had been walking near the river. So it's not that I was walking. When we say I was walking, we mean that that specific moment, that action, we are referring to an action that happened only for that particular moment which we mentioned. But when we speak about past perfect continuous tense, it is an ongoing action that happened for a stretched period of time. So, and it's not in the present. It is not in the present. It happened sometime back. And that action continued for a specific amount of time before another time in the past. And see the example. Then now we may find an example. Arjun had been jogging before we reached his house. So we reached the house, not now, earlier. And by the time when we reached his house, before we reached there, he had been jogging. It may be for an hour, maybe for half an hour, maybe for 2 hours, we don't know. But at that time, that action had been going on. It's not for a single second, but for a considerable period of time. Past perfect continuous tense. Now, let us see how we use it. A positive past perfect continuous tense is used plus subject plus had plus been plus ing form. Remember, whenever we use the been, there must be one among the has, have, had in front of the word been. Without has, have, had, we can never write the word been. It is a V3 verb form of be family. See, once again I may say, why do we write been there? It's a logical question. Why do we write been there? Is it for fun's sake? Remember, we need to use ing form with a helping verb. If we need to use ing form as in the form of a main verb, we need to use a helping verb, a be family helping verb. Only an ing form can be written perfectly as a main verb only with the help of an auxiliary verb, a supporting verb. That belongs to be family. That is one thing. Another thing, whenever we use a perfect tense, we need to use the V3 form of any verb. So here, we need to use the perfect tense where we need a V3 verb form, and to help or to complete an idea of an ing verb form, or to help the present participle tense, or present participle verb form, not tense, present participle verb form. We need a helping verb. So, if we write Isama was where, that word can never go along with the word had or has or have. Because after has, have, had, we need a V3 verb form to make a perfect tense. So we need a V3 verb form. And then we need a helping verb of be family in order to support the ing verb form. And been is a V3 verb form. And been is a be family member. So it satisfies, the word being satisfies the requirement of a V3 verb form that can go along with the word had. And then again it satisfies the requirement of a be family member in order to assist the ing verb form. And we use been. No other word can fill that requirement. And that is the reason why we write been. So, subject plus had plus been plus ing verb form. And that is how we write a positive past perfect continuous tense. And therefore the example, they, subject, had plus been plus playing ing verb form, tennis, a very nice, complete, perfect, past perfect continuous tense. They had been playing tennis. Now, how can we write a negative sentence of past perfect continuous tense? Where should we add the not or no? We cannot write been not. We cannot write ing not. That not or the contracted form of not must join with the had. Therefore, the negative verb, negative past perfect continuous tense should be written like subject plus hadn't or had not, plus been plus ing. And a very simple, they had been playing tennis. It turns to be a past perfect continuous tense in a negative form. Now, the third one, how to write an interrogative sentence. Again, we must know that we must bring the had in front of the subject. As I already said, drag the horse or tie the horse in front of the cart. So, we get the question, had they been playing tennis? And now if you write an interrogative, negative interrogative sentence, it could be, hadn't they been playing tennis? Had must be brought to the front part of the sentence, and then comes the subject. Then the been plus ing verb form. We should not write hadn't or had been subject or had been they playing tennis. That may not be the right way. That cannot be the right way of writing an interrogative past perfect continuous tense. Now let us look at the usage once again and an example further to have a further clarification. To describe a past action already started and continued up to another action or time in the past. That is how, where we use a past perfect continuous tense. For example, the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. Rain, it's not now, it was earlier. Earlier when they started rain. when it started to rain. Now at that time they had been playing not on that particular moment but almost for an hour. Now again to express the duration before something in the past, something happened before for a stretched period of time. Richard needed a holiday because he had been working hard for 6 months. So we need to express the duration of the time of duration, or mean period of the action, how long it happened. Had been working hard for 6 months, and then the last usage is to describe the cause of something in the past. We have already seen it in the past perfect tense, and now we write it in the continuous tense. He was tired because he had been jogging, and that is why he is tired. Now, he is tired now. Now suppose it is 10 o'clock now. At 9 o'clock he was tired because almost for 3 hours he had been jogging. And that is how we write past perfect continuous tense. The plumber had been fixing the water tap for 2 hours. For 2 hours he had been working. And then let us see how can we write the past perfect continuous tense form. Subject plus had been plus a verb plus ing. So we could say I had been starting a bike, motor car. You had been starting, he had been starting, and goes like that. Or I had been living. Now in the negative form we could write subject plus had been plus been plus ing. So I hadn't been starting, you hadn't been starting, and we, he, she, it, we, you, they, all. And last we could say I hadn't been living. So this is the simplest way we could write a past perfect continuous tense. How could we write a question form? And again, as we said, bring had in front of the subject. Then write been, subject plus been plus ing. Then had you been starting? Had I been starting? Had he been starting? So there is no change in the word had. There is no change in the word been. Only the subject and the verb is changed. So how could we write then? If we say a positive sentence that you had been living, then how could we change into question form, interrogative sentence? We could ask, bring the had in front of the subject. Then had you been living? And never forget to write the question mark. Let us see so many sentences. I had. We could write it in the contracted form I. You can see how had could be written in the contracted form. And even if you write it in the contracted form, we must speak it like had. So I had been reading, you had been speaking, he had been crying, she had been eating, it had been bringing, you had been telling, we had been sleeping, and they had been buying. So subject plus had plus been plus verb plus ing. Once again I say, if you write been, there must be a have has had in front of been. But it is not necessary that you must write been always after has have had. We can write has have had without been, but we can never write been without has have had. So differences between now past perfect tense. Let us see how can we write past perfect tense, and let's see how what could be the difference between past perfect tense and past perfect continuous. Past perfect tense is used to express the past action already finished when another past action happened. So the thing is that the past perfect tense action is completed. And it completed before another action happened. When she arrived, the bus had already left. Over there, finished. Now, past perfect continuous action, the past perfect continuous tense, then action happened before, and before that another action which was going on. It is used to express a past action which started in the past and continued to happen after another action or time in the past. So, and that specific time, another action was going on. We had been looking for the wallet for 2 hours when Susan found it. So, it is after continuously searching for 2 hours, Susan could find it. And that is why I say, we had been looking for the wallet for 2 hours when Susan finally found it. How, what could be the difference between past continuous tense and past perfect tense? Earlier we saw past perfect and past perfect continuous tense. And now we would say past continuous tense and past perfect continuous tense. Past continuous tense emphasizes what happened when an interruption occurred. It shows only continuity. So, past continuous speaking, actually we speak about an action that happened momentary at that time, particular time how it happened. And so the time is only for momentary. Example, when I arrived, Mohan was reading a newspaper. Now, when we speak about Mohan was reading a newspaper, we are talking about that time that he was reading on that particular time. We do not consider what he was doing earlier or before. But when we speak about past perfect continuous tense, it emphasizes the process of the action before the interruption. It shows continuity and also duration of the action. So past continuous tense shows only speaks about only the continuity of the action, but past perfect tense we mention actually two things. One, the continuity of the action and the duration of the time. So that's why I say it is for the stretched period. It is for the stretched period of time. And that is how we had been looking for the wallet for 2 hours when Susan found it. For 2 hours we had been searching for that. Now change the following sentences as it is directed in the bracket. It is a workout time for us. It is better that you keep a pen and paper and start writing the answer. If your answer is exactly matching to the answer which I give, and then I say that you have been marvelous. Tom had been painting the gate. You have to change into negative sentence. How can we write a negative sentence? By adding not or not. So see what your answer could be. Simply, Tom hadn't been painting the gate. Only bring the word empty or not, nothing else. They had been playing cricket. He changed into interrogative sentence. What we need to do, bring or keep the word had in front of the subject. And that comes the answer. Had they been playing cricket? You put a question mark. Now we hadn't been watching the movie. It is a negative sentence because the NT form, the contracted NT form is given. Remove that and then we get the positive sentence. So here comes the answer. We had been watching the movie. Now, had she been dancing well? The question is an interrogative sentence. How will we change into negative interrogative? Add N or NT. So how will we write it? Either you could say, hadn't she been dancing well? Or had she been not dancing well? But this could be the best thing. Hadn't she been dancing well? And now last comes a change into a positive sentence. Had he been writing the answer? It's an interrogative sentence where had is put in front of the subject. Now take that had from in front of the subject, and keep it behind the subject. We get the right answer. He had been writing the answer, which means for a prolonged time. Now another brainstorming section. It is for you. Write the correct form of the verb given in bracket, especially the past perfect continuous tense. See the sentences. So we sleep for 12 hours when he woke up. So we had been sleeping. That could be the answer. We had been sleeping for 12 hours when he woke us up. Again he drive for an hour when he ran out of petrol. So had been should be there. He had been driving for an hour when he ran out of petrol. Again use had been ing form. They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. And next Jackson was tired because he had plus been plus ing, so we get Jackson was tired because he had been joking. Sam gained weight because he, again we must write, had plus been plus overeating. So he gets the answer. Sam gained weight before he had been overeating. And this is how we could write the past perfect continuous tense. Hope that you understood it well.